Alright guys, I am recording this a little later than I normally would, just so I can get it out for, first thing tomorrow. I have a new article coming out on Fandom Pulse that goes along with this. Make sure to check it out. Fandom Pulse is now on Substack, where John Trent, who used to be the editor-in-chief at that Park Place, is currently full-time, cranking out articles every single day. So I went down this little rabbit hole not too long ago, and I'm finally talking about it today, because I've done all the investigating I can, and this is what I've discovered. So it turns out that the development of Unknown 9 Awakening had a lot more, let's say, wokeness than you would already have imagined. So I put this article together, and it says that the Unknown 9 Awakening casting director is a woke DEI activist. Now, this is putting it mildly. We're going to go through the article a little bit, and of course play a little bit of the video to go along with it. So it says, Reflector Entertainment, developers of the poorly received Unknown 9 Awakening, are currently experiencing mass layoffs after their debut title landed with a thud. As originally discovered by Smash JT, several people who were once gainfully employed by Reflector have now posted on their LinkedIn pages that they are no longer working at the studio and are open for new job opportunities. This is obviously not the result Reflector was hoping for, as Unknown 9 was supposed to be a massive franchise spanning sequels, books, and merchandise for many years to come. And of course, we saw the same thing with Concord, we saw the same thing with a lot of these games where they've tried to create kind of a Star Wars-like universe for them, and it just completely flopped. It tanked as hard as it possibly could. While many people have pointed to the involvement of Sweet Baby Inc.'s Kim Belair as the reason that this title failed, there were other legitimate criticisms that undercut this game's chances of succeeding. The gameplay trailers did this game no favors, as the combat looked stiff, remedial, and reminiscent of PS2 titles. Add into that the poor attempt at capturing the beauty and likeness of Anya Chilatra as the title's playable character, and it's no wonder that this game seemed to release with little to no fanfare. And again, while I do think Anya Chilatra is a beautiful woman, they certainly did not create a character that matched her likeness, and of course the gameplay, like I said, was complete and utter dog crap. While it was previously revealed that Anya Chilatra, who played the witch Yennefer on Netflix's The Witcher series, was offered the role in Unknown 9 Awakening without actually having to audition, yes, that was a thing, seemingly no one has been asking the more important question, who actually offered her the role?
I didn't audition, I was offered the opportunity, and I jumped at it. I grabbed it with both hands because it's what an amazing opportunity.
Most probably assume that Kim Belair had something to do with Miss Chilatra being cast to star in Reflector's debut game, as both her and Anya are, women of color as they like to call themselves, the latter previously praising Unknown 9 for its diverse cast of characters. And again, there's a little video clip where she talks about how she doesn't really know anything about the game or video games as a whole, but it's the most diverse game that she's ever seen. It's pretty cringe, to be honest. However, the more likely answer is that this was a decision made expressly by Jessica Jeffries, the casting director for Unknown 9. If you're not familiar with her work, that's quite understandable. She has been attached to some rather notable and controversial projects, but casting credits tend to just kind of get lost in the shuffle. Miss Jeffries, according to her own website, is credited for work on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, a game that was crushed under the weight of Sweet Baby Inc.'s bad reputation. It's also worth noting that this is now, I think, 2 games where her and Kim Belair have actually worked together. And you can see from the list of projects on her website that yes, indeed, Unknown 9 Awakening is on here, as well as a few mobile games, the Dark Pictures Anthology, where she has actually been working with the same studio that made the Until Dawn remaster for quite a while now, a couple of Warhammer games, and some other games that we're going to talk about in detail coming up here in a second. Miss Jeffries also worked on Diablo 2 Resurrected and Until Dawn Remaster, as well as several Warhammer titles, Space Marine 2 and Battle Sister. Now, I'm just going to side note here. Space Marine 2, while it was a fine game and people genuinely seemed to enjoy it, there was a slight bit of conversation I recall about how it seemed like they were checking boxes, I guess, with a lot of the characters in the game, because they just kind of like went all over the color palette spectrum, if you will, and just kind of like grabbed one of each. So some people I saw complaining about how it just felt forced, but in general, I don't think anybody had any complaints about Space Marine 2 as a whole. She is currently the casting director for the Dark Pictures Directive 8020, a game featuring Lashana Lynch, a British actress of Jamaican descent. And again, I had to look this woman up because I'm like, why do I know that name, but I can't place her with any specific role. Miss Lynch, who played Monica Rambeau in the 2019 film Captain Marvel, has been a vocal advocate for, quote, improving the hair and makeup experience for Black actors and ensuring an equitable work environment. In short, she's part of this coalition of Black actresses who feels like it's discriminatory, that they're doing all the heavy lifting to try to get better hairstylists for black actors and actresses. I guess that's the crux of it. I don't know. It's pretty cringe in my opinion. Prior to starting her own casting company, Miss Jeffries was credited on The Witcher, and here's where we see some interesting connections between Anya Chalatra's Sweet Baby Inc. and Miss Jeffries. The same Netflix series that Anya Chalotra was cast in to play the race-swapped Yennefer. While Jessica Jeffries was not the casting director for the first 3 seasons of the show, she was still working for Sophie Holland, who is a woman that has profound effect on the ill-fated Netflix series. Sophie Holland also publicly expressed that she felt the need to cast non-white people in fantasy settings in order to combat unconscious bias, and even claimed that having a woman of color in the role of Yennefer does incredibly powerful things to the people watching. And this was covered by John Trent back on July of 2023 when he was still with Bounding the Comics, talking about how The Witcher's casting director admitted to using her job to affect change in viewers and manipulate their unconscious bias. So apparently the apple has not fallen far from the tree, as Miss Jeffries has gone on to espouse her own belief in needing DEI to be a major factor in how characters are cast moving forward.
I think such a huge change in casting in general is diversity and inclusion. I think we still obviously have such a huge way to go, but I think there's been a leap in the last 5 years, I'd say. There's been some really positive changes, and that comes from also there being a positive change from the audiences about the stories that are being told. You know, they wouldn't be made if audiences didn't want to watch them. Exactly. So now there's way more diversity and variation in the stories that are being told, which allows us to be able to be more creative in the way that we're casting and more inclusive in the way that we're casting.
Miss Jeffries is also a member of the UK-based Casting Directors Guild, who claims to be a, quote, professional organization of casting directors in the film, television, theater, and commercials communities in the UK and Ireland, who have joined together to further their common interests in establishing a recognized standard of professionalism in the industry. And I cut it off there because it just goes on and on. These guys are basically huffing their own farts 24/7. The CDG is heavily invested in promoting the tenets of diversity, equity, and inclusion, as is stated in their 2021 Statement on Diversity on their website. And of course, you can see it right here where it says, the Casting Directors Guild of Great Britain and Ireland is committed to diversity in the performing arts in all its forms. This commitment spans across our relationships with performers, production teams, and to ourselves as casting directors, associates, and assistants. Diversity is a huge topic and must be reviewed and discussed frequently. We have highlighted some active areas below which are key to us as a guild in delivering change. And here are their diversity and inclusion goals for both on and off stage, okay? It is the aim of the Guild and its members to achieve a true representation of our society on stage or screen. It is not possible for individuals to be diverse. It is our casting process that must be diverse. We aim to cast consciously and to keep performers from historically underrepresented backgrounds visible and valued in the casting process. And here's the real kicker. Our goal is to ensure the representation of the following: women, African, South Asian, East Asian, Southeast Asian diaspora people, mixed race people, other global majority people of color, neurodiverse people, people from a lower socioeconomic background, LGBTQ people, deaf and hard of hearing people, disabled people. You notice how white people are, or men in general, are specifically left off. We understand terminology and labels can be problematic, and while we have tried to be sensitive to this, we welcome feedback on how our clarification of who is underrepresented is phrased. Oh boy. And of course, they even have this EDI Group, which apparently is in the process of being remodeled, so their website doesn't actually take you anywhere, but you can contact somebody about that. And of course, what we see now is that Jessica Jeffries has, I was actually looking her up months ago, and she has had a very active presence on Twitter X about, being very political, especially in the UK. She's very much strong women, hates the Tories, Labour all the way, F everything conservative. And she now has yeeted her Twitter account and moved over to Blue Sky, although I don't think she's actually set up there. I couldn't find an account for her yet. But of course, this is kind of going along with the uptick of Blue Sky users that we've seen since the election ended. So very disturbing. I'm just hoping you guys are starting to catch this and pay attention that there are a lot of these people, not just Sweet Baby Inc., not just the narrative designers, not just some of the developers or the consultants, but the casting directors themselves, who are having a profound impact on how the roles are being cast, the roles that are being created for the people that they're trying to cast. It all works hand in hand with these people knowing each other and trying to essentially erase the traditional strong white male or strong heterosexual male or feminine women or beautiful women from games, from movies, from TV, you name it. They're all complicit in it. They're all working together, not just the consulting companies, but the casting directors, the game developers, you name it. It's an unending rabbit hole. So I'm going to leave it right there, guys. Share your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think about all this. Go check out the article both on my website as well as Fandom Pulse. Go support us over there in Fandom Pulse. John Trent's doing great work, and we need all the help you guys can get. I will catch you guys on the next one. All right, and if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for being here. I do have 2 channels, Minimal Effort Podcast, as well as my gaming channel. I do have a Twitch and Kick for my gaming channel. We do live streams over there occasionally, maybe once a week. And then if you are in the market for a new PC, make sure to check out Meta PCs. Click the link I have down below. Use code TBO at checkout for a special discount. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.